All right, good evening to you all. This is Emmanuel Kadri, and it is good to have you all here again this evening. Please, if you are here and you have not muted your mic, please kindly mute your mic. And then, if you are joining with video, you might probably like to turn off the video to reduce data usage. Yeah, welcome once again. So, this evening we are going to be working on the topic called string formatting. All right, so there are two parts to this topic, but in part one, we are going to be taking three subtopics. The first one, which is the use of the percentage operator, that is how we can format our strings using the percentage operator. Then secondly, how we can format our string using the dot format method. And thirdly, how we can format our string using the f string. All right, now, when using this percentage operator, okay, all you just do is to position that percentage stuff at the places where the variables you want them to represent, at the places where you want them to be. Okay, let me just put it in action. Simply speaking, let me say we have a set of variables. Let's say we have age is equal to 23. Age is equal to 23, and then let's say we have something else like height is equal to 12.45, something like that. And then let's say name, okay, is equal to Shade. Remember, Shade is a string, so you have to put it inside quotes. Okay, age is 23, height is 12.5, name is Shade. Okay, so let's just play around these three variables. Okay, so age is a variable, height a variable, name a variable. So we have all these values assigned to them. Okay, 23 is assigned to age, so which means age is 23. So Python, we begin to see age as 23, we see height as 12.45, we see name as, as Shade. So let me put it like 456 or something thereabout. Okay, so name is Shade. Now what we are going to do here is that we want to make our presentation interactive. That is to say, we want to use a print statement in an interactive manner, but this time around using the percentage operator to just fill in some spaces. Okay, now yesterday I taught you guys, was it yesterday or on Saturday? I taught you guys how to make your print statement interactive. And if for instance I want to say age, height, and name, let's take it like this. Maybe I want to put age, height, and name into this print statement. Okay, I could say my name is, then I put name as a variable, so that Shade will come here. Okay, I can say my name is name. I'm still gonna put comma and all those things. Okay, so my name is name, and my name is name. Okay. I am age years old and height tall. Okay. Now, see what you have here. It says my name is name. That I want to make use of these three variables. Okay. So it says my name is name. I am age years old, and height tall. Okay. So to make this thing to display, what I just did here is that these three variables, I want the content of the variables to show up or to show inside this place, to show here, which means when I run the code, I expect the program to say my name is Shade. That is, Shade comes to replace this name. I am age, that is 23 comes to replace this age, years old, and height 12.456 replaces this height, tall. You understand that? But if I run this program, I'm going to have an issue because I did not separate the variables and the strings. Okay, so I told you that when you have the variable and the string together inside the print statement, okay, you need to separate them with a comma. So you can see now that it's brought out an error. It says invalid syntax. So it is because I did not put the comma here. So when you put comma here, the comma separates the string. It separates the string from the variable. And then when you want to switch from variable to another string again, you put another comma. Then this is a string. From string to another variable, you put another comma. Then from variable to another string, you separate with comma again. Every time you have an interaction between a string and variable, you always separate them with a comma. Please don't forget that. So you have it this way. It says my name is name. I am this also, right? Fine. If you run this program, you are definitely going to have everything intact. My name is Shadi. I am 23 years old and 12.456 tall. Okay. Now, if you want to put some extra stones, okay. Excuse me here. Ordinarily, I could code as this. Ordinarily, I could code it as, like this, and everything runs very fine. Okay. But then if I don't want to code it in this style, I can use the percentage operator. Okay. But in using the percentage operator, please take note of the following. Take note of the fact that anytime you have percentage, or anytime you want to represent a string, okay, so to represent string, you use what we call the percentage S. You have percentage S for string. I'm going to explain this later. Percentage S for string, and then you use then for integer, you are going to use percentage D. Use percentage D for integer, and then for floats, which is any number that carries decimal, okay, you use percentage F. Use percentage F. So please mind you use percentage S for string, percentage D for integer, percentage F to represent floats. And as you can see, age here is an integer, okay, height here is a float, while Shade here is a string. So if I need to represent them, okay, with this method, like using this percentage operator thing, we can achieve the same thing by coding as, you can have something like the print statements, you open the bracket, and so you can say, let me just copy everything here, okay. Okay. So you can just put everything inside one quote, all of them inside a quote, all of them. So I have to remove the other quotes in it. You put everything inside a quote, you can see that they've all turned green. So I'm just putting everything inside quotes from the opening quote and the closing one. Okay, so I put everything right in there, the opening quote and the closing one. So and then what I do here is that this name that you have here, you can represent it as just remove the comma. Okay, you can put a comma there. You represent it as percentage S, okay, because percentage S represents strings. Okay, age. Who can tell me what variable is age? Can anyone tell me what variable age is quickly? What variable is age? What variable is age? Anyone? Are you online?
Is integer.
Percentage D.
Integer.
Yeah, I was actually asking of the variable. I want to be sure you are getting me. Okay, so I just don't want to be teaching solo. I want to be sure you are getting me. So I just represented string with percentage S. Now I'm representing age. Okay, so what am I going to use to represent age?
Percentage D.
Percentage D is correct. So you put percentage D. So, and then what will I use to represent the heights?
Percentage of.
Percentage F because it is a float. So you
Percentage
use
F.
percentage F because it's float. Yeah, correct. So we have all this, okay? So now, now that you have, you can unmute your mic now, please. So now that you have everything like this, everything ready. So the next thing you do is to just put a space, okay? Then you open a percentage, then open a tuple. So in that tuple, you put all those three stuffs there, the three variables, okay? Since you've declared the variables before, you've declared the variables here before. So all you just need to do is to slot in the variables there. You put age, according to the order of appearance, okay? You know, you did the string first. Okay, so you're not going to do age. You're going to use Shade, which is name. Okay, you put comma. Then what next after that? I think percentage D, which is the integer,
Age.
and that is age. You put comma, and then the third one is height. So, which means that the stuffs that you were supposed to put inside this place, you pack all of them into one bracket, like this. Then instead of putting them inside this place, okay, one by one, so what you rather did was to use the percentage stuff, and then please you can remove the comma if you don't need it. Okay, you can remove the comma. This one does not need that comma compulsory. Okay, why I said if you don't need it is that if you think you need it, you can leave it there. For instance, my name is whatever. Then I am. You can. My name is this one. Is this? You can put a comma after this. I am whatever years old. Years old. Okay, and then the comma here now is not a mandatory thing like the way it was mandatory in this case. Now the comma you are putting is you're just putting it there because you need it to be as part of the sentence. You understand? So now when you do it, let's run this code and see what's up. So running the code. 1, 2, 3, and gosh. So you got it right. You said, my name is Shade. I am 23 years old, and this one tall. Okay, I didn't remove this one that is behind the F. Okay, so run it again. Okay, nice. My name is Shadi. I am 23 years old and 12.456000 tall. Okay, so this 0000 that you have here, it came to be because of the fact that you are using because you are representing a float, because you said percentage F. Naturally, floats will happen that way. Like it will have all of this. It will have about 6 digits after the decimal point. That is the standard for floats. Okay. So if you want to control it, that is to say, you don't want to have as much as these 6 digits. Yes, after the decimal point. Maybe you want to have only 1 digit after the decimal point. Only one. That's what you just want to have. If you want to achieve that, you just come to this place. So this is percentage F. Just put 0.1. 0.1 simply means you are telling Python that I just want this thing to be in 1 decimal place. You can either say 0.1 or you put 0.1. It will still work. It will work the same way. So by the time you run this code again, you see that all those excess zeros and everything will be approximated to 1 decimal place. So this one approximates, okay? Unlike what we had with the double forward slash division, or as in when we're doing the operators in Python. You know that one, arithmetic operator. I mean, you know that one we just cut off all the numbers after the decimal, but it will not approximate anything. But yes, unlike that one, this one really does approximate. Okay, so it's going to round off for you, and it will approximate to the nearest whatever is it that you asked it to do. So this one now is to the 1 decimal place. So it's going to round up to 1 decimal place like that. So you have this 12.5. So if I've wanted the answer to be in 2 decimal place, I will just say 0.2F and then I'll run it. So it's going to give me the result in 2 decimal place like this. I believe you understand. So even if you want to now put something like inches, like 12.46 inches tall, no problem. Put the inches here. You know, one of the beauty of using this method is that it is not going to stress you when you have to use some kind of special characters in your string formatting. It's not going to stress you at all. Imagine if I want to put ordinary comma here. There are some things I have to do, but that one, in this case, you don't have to stress yourself. Just put the comma anywhere you want, put the quote anywhere you want, put anything you want, anyhow you want it. And then all you just need to do, the extra job you just have to do is to put the placeholders in those places and in the place where they need to be, and that's all. Anything you put around the placeholder will still appear in the print statement. For instance, I want to put inches, this inches symbol. No problem. If you run the program, it's just going to come out like that. My name is Shade. I am 23 years old and 12.46 inches tall. Perfect. Please, if there is anything you don't understand, kindly indicate. You just indicate, like if there's any part of it you don't understand, don't manage to get along. Just let me know that there is something I just finished saying, that thing is not clear to you, and then I will repeat it and I will explain it, okay? All right, so now the advantage, look at the work I have to do. Imagine all the job I have to do if I want to achieve this same thing here, but with this one, with the first print statements, when I do not have to use the percentage operator. Okay, imagine what I'm going to go through. Let me just give you let me just give you a clue. Now, you see, I want a comma after this Shade. And then already there is a comma here. But this comma that is here, you know the work it was doing. It's functioning as a separator between the string and the variable. All right? So please, for those who are just joining us, strings are just normal text or literals. They are text, okay? That is non-numeric values and all that. So they are texts. So this one is a text, this is a text, this is a text. So anytime you are representing a string, you put them inside quotes so that Python will not mistake them to be variables. What do we call variables? Variables are some letters or some words that are used to store values, that can be used to store values. We call them variables because the values stored inside them can change anytime. You understand? So Based on whatever happens, based on any situation, the values inside them can change. That's the reason why we call them variables. Okay, so now this is age. Age is 23. Okay, so which means that anytime Python sees age, it is always going to see it as 23. And that is why this age that you have here, okay, was represented as 23 here. Okay, and then this name that you have here is represented by Shade here, because we have already assigned Shade to the variable name, assigned 23 to the variable age, and assigned 12.456 to the variable height. So this is a variable and this is a constant. Okay, so I'm going back because of the guys that are just joining us, so that they can just manage to get along, even if not so much. Okay, so everything will not just be totally strange. And then you come here. You see, anytime I want to write a note, I usually put an hashtag. The reason why I put this hashtag is that whenever you put this hash is called a single line comment. You use it to comment a single line. You know, it's just the hashtag is just there to let Python know that the hashtag is just there to let Python know that this is not part of the code. It's just a note, so that Python will not be considering it as part of the code and therefore be giving us error. But since you just put hashtag, Python will totally ignore it, and it will only focus on the colored ones, all these colored ones. Okay, and so that's what you have. Now, this is variable, and this is a data or a constant that is stored in the variable. So that is what we have. Okay, now this print statement, for those of you that are just joining us, this print statement actually is used to display values, which means that anything that is inside the brackets that is governed by the print statements, anything inside these brackets that is governed by this print statement, the thing will be displayed by the time you run the program. But actually, there are rules with which this thing works. It is not that you will just put anything there anyhow and you expect it to display. No. Whatever you want it to display has to be formatted somehow, so that even the print statement will understand what you are trying to do or what you are trying to say. And also, it does not only display text, it also display values. And you can even type anything inside. You can even put calculation inside. It display numbers too. You can even put calculation inside, and it will display the results of the calculation for you. For instance, let's say we have something like this. I say print 3 plus 8. 3 plus 8, we all know that it is 11. By the time you run this program, it's going to give you exactly that answer, which is 11. So, as you can see, it gave us the answer 11. The other two stuff that you are seeing here is as a result of the two other print statements that we have here, this one and this one. Also, mind you, the fact that there are spaces between these print functions or whatever doesn't mean that there should be space in the output. All the things in between the print functions are the stuff that produce the result, that contributes to the result that this print statement is displaying. So it doesn't mean that there must be space. So, but if you want to create space deliberately, then you can just use an empty print statement to create a space. For instance, you could actually come here and say print empty. You just use the empty print statement, and then even with this one too, you can just say print empty, and then by the time you run the program, definitely there will be space in between the outputs, just as you can see here. But without doing that, okay, or without doing any other kind of special stunts, there wouldn't have been space. Okay, so just take note of all of that. So I think with this, the newcomers can get along somehow. And then I explained again earlier that if you want to use the percentage operator to format your outputs, okay, always use percentage %s to represent strings. What are strings? Strings actually are non-numeric. They are non-numeric constants. Okay, you can call them literals. It can either be a letter, it can be a word, it can be mixture of numbers and words. It can be anything, but not just pure numbers. This one is a pure number. You call it an integer because it does not carry a decimal. Okay, but assuming it carries a decimal, then it is not an integer. Assuming you have 3 points, in fact, 3.0 is different from 3 in Python. 3.0 is a string, is a float, while ordinary 3 is a string. Oh my God, why am I saying string? 3.0 is a float, while ordinary 3 is an integer. You understand? So integer means whole number, while any number that carries decimal is called float in Python. So integer, whole number, float, the ones that carry decimal, and then string is literals, just textual values, or a blend of text and numbers, or that is alphanumeric string, or complete text, or all that, or even a number that is converted to string using quotes. Okay, so you can refer to our past videos, and then you will understand all of these things. Okay, now back to the class, back to where we stopped. So instead of me, okay, sorry, I wanted to show you something before, that how to achieve the same thing I achieved using this one. If I want to achieve it here, okay, it would have been so difficult. Mind you, the reason why we have all this comma here, okay, it's not because we want to put comma in the output. No, we have all those comma here because by the rule of this print statement is that anytime you want to separate strings from variables, okay, you know that if I put quotes around this thing, the moment I put quotes around it, Python will not see it as a variable anymore. It begins to see it as a string because it carries the quotes. And mind you, I can use either a single quote or a double quote. It's allowed. Okay, so but it is not a string, so it is actually a variable, and so you keep it that way without quotes to tell Python that it's a variable. Okay, so you said my name is, then the rule says that anytime you want to, if you are not using any kind of operator in your print statement, if you are just using if you are using plain string, plain, without any operator, without any special operator, you are just using it plain. If you want to separate, if you need to separate the string from a variable, you must always put a comma. The comma is there to let Python know that you are separating. It is just necessary, okay? It's a necessary rule by Python to separate the strings from the variable. So now also you put comma here to separate this variable from this string, and you put comma here to separate this one from this one, and then you put comma here to separate this variable from this one. Or that if you don't do it like that, the program will not run. It will give you an error, okay, to tell you syntax error like it showed us earlier. So you must always put a comma between every variable and a string and string. So by so doing, if you run the program, it is going to run fine and it will display the results for you. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So my name is, name is a variable that contains the word Shadi. So it says my name is Shadi. And then age is also a variable that contains the value 23, and that's here. And height is a variable that contains value 12.456, and it is right here. Okay, so but then we cannot always use this method for all cases. There are some cases that this method is very terrible to use for. So that is the reason why you have to learn different kind of methods of formatting your string, so that the one that you apply at a particular instance, it will be determined by the situation at hand at that moment. So the kind of method you apply is determined by the situation at hand at that moment. So now you have my name is %s. Okay, sorry, I'm still going back there. Sorry. My name is this. I want to show you now that, okay, all the commands that we have used, that we should have used to separate some things the way we did here, okay, the way Shade appeared here, the way comma appeared here and comma appeared here, you want to achieve the same thing here. Okay, but then you already have one comma that is representing a separator. Okay, so if you now choose to have another comma here, Let's see whether that would work. Okay, then we have years old, so we need another comma here. Okay, and hide this. So let's see if these two commas will work, or it will return an error. Yes, it returned an error because the comma using this kind of method is strictly to separate variables and constants. Okay, but yet if I still want it to appear, then we can just use some sense, we can apply some sense. So the kind of sense we might apply is to represent this one as a string. So which means you can put a single quote around it and put comma so that Python will see it, and then we can have the same thing. Same thing here. Let's just experiment it if it works. Or you can put since this one is already a string, you can put the comma here inside the statement, inside the string itself. The comma here can enter inside the string itself and it will work very fine. Okay, so you see, because even a character too is a string, so comma is also a string. All right, so if you can put it here too as a string character, and then you put this one inside what we have here. Okay, and then let's run it and see what happens. You run, and there's still a problem here because there is because this is a string, and then you can see where this guy is pointing to. Okay, hold on. It's pointing actually to this place, not that one. So we need to separate it with a comma, sorry, because this is a string and this is a variable. So you put a comma there. All right, I think we should be able to have it run this time around. So let's see. Okay, now it's worked well for this one, okay, because it is embedded inside a string. But then for this one, there is excess space. Okay, so because of that space, we now have to find a way to bring it closer. Okay, so one of the methods we can apply is to concatenate Shade and the comma. That's one thing we can apply. We concatenate Shade and comma. So we can just say name, and then you put plus. You put plus, and then you put the comma there, and then you expect it to run fine. So because this is a string, okay, and then this is a variable, but it's a string variable because the content of it is a string. So, and you can concatenate two strings. Concatenating of two strings means that you join the two strings together. So for those who are just joining us, who don't know about concatenation before, okay, if you want to concatenate, you can. Concatenation means joining two strings. So let's say I have a string called string 2. I just love using this example, I don't know why. So you have a string 2, and then you have face. You have another string, face. Okay, so you can run the code. And it gives us what we call two-face. You see there, two-face. That is called string concatenation. String concatenation means you are joining two strings together to become one. That's concatenation for you. So, and concatenation can only be possible between two strings. In fact, for it to be able to work, I had to make these two to become a string by adding a quote around it. You understand it now? So I made it to become a string by adding a quote around it. So although it is a number, but it is behaving as a string because of the quotes. So that's how it works. All right. Okay, you said I should explain the variable name plus again. Okay, now this name is a string variable because it is a string that is inside. And you can concatenate strings. So then I concatenated it with another string character, which is comma. So that's what I just did. Comma is a string. I put a quote around this to show that it is a string. Then name is also a string because it contains a string variable. It contains a string variable which is Shade. Okay, and so in as much as you can concatenate two string values, you can also concatenate a string variable and a value too. It will still work. For instance, if I say, let me say job. If I say job is equal to teacher, if I say job is equal to teacher, of course I can concatenate the two of them, two and job. Okay, job is a variable, but it's a variable that is carrying a string, so it can be called a string variable. So you can have 2 plus job, and you run it. It's going to work very fine. It's going to give you two teacher. You understand it now? So it is not only direct values that you can concatenate. You can also concatenate variables too with a value, or two variables together, in as much as what is contained in them is a string. You understand? So please take note of that. And so that is the same thing that I did here. I just said name, which contains Shade, then plus comma. So Shade plus comma is what produced Shade and comma here. Do you understand it now? And then I need a space. So because I need a space, I can put the space inside the comma. You can see that this comma and I and letter I, they join together because they are both string. They are also strings. So they join together. So what I can do here is to put a space between the comma and I and the closing of the quotes. Put a space like this. When I put a space, if I run the code, then it's going to come out fine. As my name is Shade, comma, I am 23 years old, and comma. So let me put this on here. Okay, so running it again. So we have it like this. My name is Shade. I am 23 years old and 12.456 inches tall. Okay, now it remains the inches here. The same thing is what we are going to do. 12.456 inches. But unfortunately, this height, which is 12.456, is. So what are we going to do in this case? I think one of the ways we can put it, if you want to put the quote there, you want to put this inches there, these inches here. If you want to put it there, one of the ways we can achieve that is to cast this height, to cast it into a string. I believe I taught you yesterday typecasting. So if you want to cast a data type to another data type, so what you do is that you put the data type that you want it to change to. You put it inside. You put it outside. For instance, I want to change this height. I want to change it to a string. So I'll just put str, then open the bracket and close the bracket. So now height has successfully turned to string. It is no longer behaving as number 12.45. It is now behaving as string 12.456. Okay, so it is no longer integer. It's no longer float 12.456. It is now string 12.456. So now that it has turned to string, then I will now be free to concatenate it with another string, okay, with another string character. So I'll just put a plus there. You use plus sign to concatenate two strings, to join two strings. So you put a plus, and then you can now put this, use the single quote and put this thing inside. And close the quote back. Which means this quote, this double quote here, I want it to act as a string, okay, like a string character. Then all I just need to do is to surround it with single quotes so that I can tell Python that I've converted this single double quotes to a string. So now the two of them join together. It's not because I joined them, you can even separate them. It will still work. Everything will still work as if you joined it. What matters to Python is that there is a plus here in between the two variables, in between the two stuffs. So this one is there, which is a string variable, while this one is there, which is also a string character. So now you put plus in between to concatenate the two strings, it will work very fine. Even though you put space or you don't put space, if you join them together, it will still work. No issues, it will still work fine. There's no difference. Okay? So, but that spacing is only good for readability, just to make your code clear and readable, it will still work. So now we have successfully put our inches there. So imagine the whole hard work we went through just because we are trying to format our string. You see the stress that this guy has saved us, which means using the percentage operator has saved us a whole lot of stress. So see the stress that we went through here, having to concatenate this one with a comma, and then separating again, and pushing it forward again, and doing this one, so that it can look good, the way we want it to appear. And then you see all the trick, all the sense that we started applying. Then we even have to cast this one from being a float into a string. Then we now concatenated it to the double quote character as a string, and then we now join them before we could even achieve this result. Look at all of that stress. And then we were just able to achieve that within a few seconds using the percentage operator. So one of the benefits of the percentage operator is that you can put anything you like around. You understand? You see the way I just put, this is the formatting, this is the placeholder, but I put the inches in the body of the placeholder and it did not complain. It brought it out, so it represented the placeholder very well and put the inches there very well. Just the way I put the inches sign on the body of the placeholder. Do you understand? Then the same thing applied here. Just exactly the way I put the comma here, it appeared there. I put comma here in the body of the placeholder for the string. And yes, it appeared without any stress. So the comma here is the comma here. It appeared without stress. So whatever is it that you put around it, even though it is money, even though you want to represent it in form of dollar, okay, maybe this one I want to put it as money. You can put the dollar in the body, no problem. It will still work. This is the actual placeholder. Percentage points 2F is the placeholder. But whatever is it that you put around it will still work. You understand? So if I run the program, I will have it there, straight up. Which means my name is Shadi. I am 23 years old and $12 for the 6 inches tall. It will work fine. So it has a whole lot of advantage over trying to do the same thing using the plain method that does not involve any placeholder. So now you can see the reason why you have to learn that method. So it saves you a whole lot of stress and a whole lot of work. And then that is that as per that. So we move on. So we are able to achieve this same thing. And then another thing again is that you might not have been able to, if in case I want to approximate this one now to 46 using this method, it would have been another work again. In fact, I might not even be able to do it. So this saves a whole lot. It can help you to approximate. You can do so many things for you, and then you'll be fine. All right, Ruth, did you get it well? I believe you are being able to follow up properly. Ruth, or are you lost? I don't think she's online, so let's continue. So I want to be sure if she's still there. All right.
Hello, sir. I have a question.
Okay, Mary.
Right, good evening. Sorry I came in late because I went to church.
All
So,
right.
percentage S stands for string, then percentage D stands for integer, and percentage 2 point F. I know the F is for floats,
Yes.
but that too, I don't know where it's coming from because the height you have there is 12 points. So how come are you representing it with 0.2F?
Okay. You're welcome. I'm going to answer that. Already I explained it, but you probably were not online then. Okay. Now, if I did not put this thing there and I run this program, it is going to represent it in a full float. And full float is represented in 6 decimal places. Okay,
Okay.
full version of float represents any number in 6 decimal place. And so if you don't
Okay.
want that 60 decimal place, you want it to be compact, you want to approximate it to 2 decimal place, you just come to this place. In between percentage and F, you just put 0.2. That tells Python that you are trying to approximate to 2 decimal place. And by the time you
Decimal
run the
place.
code,
Okay.
okay, it's going to round it off to 2 decimal place. If I had put,
Okay.
yeah, if I had put 0.1 and I run the program, I'm going to have it as 12.5, 1 decimal place. It approximates it to 1 decimal place. You understand it now? And if I want it, I don't want any decimal place, I can say, well, 0.0, okay, and then you run it, it's going to give
Okay.
us 13, okay, 12, sorry. It cuts off the decimal points without approximating. So just give us 12. Do you understand? But
Okay. So yesterday you told us about modulus, and modulus is the symbol for modulus is percentage. So
yeah,
how do we differentiate between this one and modulus now?
good. To answer your question, it is just like this. I once taught you that plus is used for addition. But now, in this
Yes.
case, plus is used for concatenation. So that tells you that there are
Okay.
some kind of operators in Python that can work for more than one function at a time. So the kind of job they do at a particular time depends on the situation they find themselves. So which means if I put
Okay.
plus in between two strings, Python know that I'm trying to concatenate those two strings. But if I put if I
All
put
right.
a plus in between two numbers, Python knows I'm trying to add those numbers. So yesterday, if I use
Okay.
modulus between two numbers, Python knows that I'm trying to find the modulus of those two numbers using percentage operator. But now I am putting
Okay.
the same percentage, but this time around using it with letter F, letter S, and letter D. Python knows that I'm only using that percentage as a placeholder to format
Okay.
string. You understand? So that's
Okay.
it.
Last question.
All right, Mary.
One last question. Um, you representing the percentage operators, did you tag them with any variables, or Python just recognizes them like that?
So, okay, good. I have already indicated my variables from the beginning of the code. I said age is
Yes. Yeah.
23, height is this, and name is this. Okay? So
Okay.
what I just did is that, and I know that anytime a Python sees percentage and s together, it knows that you are trying to use it to
Okay.
represent a string. Anytime Python sees percentage
Okay.
and d together, it knows you are trying to represent an integer. Anytime Python sees percentage
Okay.
and f together, it knows that you are trying to represent a float.
Yes.
So
Okay.
then you will just put the percentage s, percentage d, and percentage f. You understand it now. And
Okay.
then
Okay.
instead of having
And height
name
is already
exactly, so
okay.
you just put those three variables that you're trying to refer to, put them inside this bracket and put the security there, percentage. So, which means
Okay.
Python is calling, you are trying to tell Python that all the percentage that is here, I'm representing them inside these brackets. So, which means that name, okay, name now, we just go, name already we know is Shade. So Python will just pick up
Yeah.
the value from here and put it inside here,
Oh,
inside the percentage
okay.
S. Then Python picks up the next one
Okay.
because you have to arrange them in the order of their in the same way you represented them in the code. So S came first. Sorry, the string came first. The integer came second. This one came third. So that's how we are going to put it there too. That name, which is a string variable, age, which happens to be the integer variable here, and then height, which happens to be the float variable. All the three will be represented in that same
Okay.
order. Otherwise, if you scatter them, it will confuse Python and it will return an error.
Oh,
So, any
okay.
other question again?
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Are you sure you are clear now?
Yes, I'm clear. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So we proceed. Now, um, so what you do here is that I think I have not run the code yet. Okay. So let me just put it back the way it was. Okay. Now there is one more thing I want to show you, and this one more thing is still if you want some kind of spacing, if you want some kind of spacing, or you want to create more character spacing for your string or for your display for the two variables that for the numeric variables, that is the float and the integer, you can put a value there. For instance, this percentage d now, if I put something like 4, I put something like 4 there in between, not 4.2 or not 0.4, 4, just 4. If I run the code, you see that there will be enough space. There will be a lot of space here. What I just told Python is that please create, I'm making this place a placeholder that can contain an integer. But the integer that is to be contained here, please, I want you to create 4 character space for the integer. And that is what Python did. When you say percentage 4d, it means create 4 character space for the integer. That is what it means. So Python is just going to create 4 spaces, 4 character spaces here. You understand? So you see that there is the 23 occupies 2, and then there is another 1, and there is another 1. But you know that this one is the normal space that was there before between arm and this one. That's this one. Okay, so we are not talking about this one. We are talking about the ones that follow it, which is 1, 2, and then this 3 and 4. So you just told Python to create a 4 character space. That is what you just did. The same thing applies to this one too. You can say 4.2, but this one is not going to work. It's not going to change anything. You know why? It's not going to change anything because already the total number of characters that we have here is 6. That is, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So something is as big as 6. Then you are trying to create a room for only 4 people. Python will just ignore it, that this one is not serious. So it will ignore it and it will not change anything. Do you understand? You see that it's still the same thing here. It didn't change anything. The only thing that was affected is this one. Okay? So because even despite approximating, the total number of characters is still 5. So it's still not even up to that. But before it can have an effect, it has to be something that is more than that. So let's say you put something like 6, or you put 7 or something thereabout. Then you run the code, no problem. If you do it that way, you have it this way. You see now it is going to have an effect now, because you used a value that is more than the maximum number of characters in its own display. At least this is 5 characters already. Then you have 6, and then you have the 7s, apart from the normal space that you have between and that. So you have up to 7. So that's what this one is working for. So any number you put before the decimal for a float, it represents the number of character spacing that you want to be there. Do you understand? And then any number you put in between percentage and d here for string for integer, it tells us the number of character you want there too. So if you put a character number that is not up to the initial value of the character spacing, initial number of characters in the original string that you want to format, it will not take any effect. So for it to have an effect, it must be more than the number of characters in the string that you are trying to format before these ones will work. So I believe that is clear to you. I believe it's clear enough. Can somebody just tell me it is clear or it is not clear?
Okay, let me get you. You're saying that if we want to give space in our variables, strings, or characters, we should give number of spaces that are above the value we initially have.
Number of spaces that are what?
Like that 23 now. If we want to give space, we should give a number that is above it, right?
Yes, exactly. Before it can have an effect.
0.43, 5 spaces. So if we want to give a space, we should give a number that is above that 5, because if we give something lesser or equivalent to that, it won't take any effect when we run it,
Exactly.
right?
Yes, very, very, very perfectly. Yes.
I think I get you now.
Yes, that is just it.
Thank
That is exactly it. So, any other person again? Any question? Okay. So let me do it this way. Remove this one, remove this one, move this one. So I'm going to put it like a reference. Like to round off the float value to any number of decimal place, write points, okay, write percentage points x f, where x is the number of decimal place, where f is the number of decimal place. Okay, so take note that. Let me use the multi-line. So 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. So what I just did, for those who don't know about it before, I did what we call the multi-line comments. It's also a comment just like this hashtag comments too. But in his own case, you use it when you are going more than one line. So if you are doing more than one line, okay, you just cover the group of line that you want to comment and then press this thing 3 times and it will comment it out. So Python will not run that part of the code. Okay. So to round off the float value to any number of decimal place, write %.xf, where x is the number of decimal place. All right. So just put e.g. So you can have the example below. Oh. So in this example now, I'm going to just copy and paste this, copy, paste it, and then you put it here like this. So since I want 2 decimal place, so let me say e.g. for 2 decimal place, write %.2f. That is for 2 decimal place. So we have the example here. So you put 0.2f here, and then you run the code. We already know what is going to come out from the code. So let's just move on. Who is just joining the class by this kind of time? Okay. All right, so I believe that you can get this right now. You could get it correct, or do you still need any other assistance? Can I proceed with that? I've explained that before anyway, so it's not something new. So we move now. If I want to, let me say to. Okay, good. To add more character space. When I say placeholder, I mean percentage. The placeholders that I'm talking about now is %d and %f Okay. You should write the number of character space required, the number of character space required. So you add the number of character space required to the in between the percentage and D or percentage and F. For instance, if I want up to up to 4 character spacing for the integer value, I would write percentage 4D. I will write percentage 4D. Okay. And so let's put that example again. Copying this, copy, and you come here. So I put 4 here, and then it will just run fine. I've done this before, so I don't need to start running the code again. Okay, so all right, same can be done to percentage F. Then if you come here, you have it like this. To round off the float value to any number of decimal place, you write this. Okay, good. So, and then notes. That the number of character spacing to be used or to be indicated must be more than the number of character present in the data to be formatted. So let me put this one in multi-quotes. Okay. Okay, so we have this. Otherwise, it should have no effects. Okay. And then we can put. So I'm going to do this one like the one with 4, and so. So let's run it. All right, so see all the values that we have here. This is the normal one. My name is Shade, I am 23 years old, blah, 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 blah. This one is the one that I did not include any, I did not format the F, I did not format the D. You understand? I just left the F and the D and the S like that. That is what you have for the first one, which is what you have, as in what you have, that is what you have here. Okay, so now, but we now moved on to the second one, where we have this one, this second one here. My name is $S, blah, 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 blah. Then you put 0.2F, which is the value that we had here. Okay, it approximated it to 2 decimal place, and that is fine. Okay, and then we come here, all right, where we put 4D, that is 4 character space, and that is what created this one, 4 character space. We did this one 7 character spacing, and that's what created this one. Okay, so you having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 and 7, apart from the normal 1 space that was there before from the onset. Okay, so that's what this one worked for. And then this last example is this one here, where you have 4.2. Okay, so in this last example, I'm just trying to tell you that if you indicate any character spacing that is not up to the number of character of the original data that you want to edit, you understand, it's not going to work. So for instance, this one now is 412, and then originally what we have here for the heights is up to how many character? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you are indicating the 4 character spacing. It will not work. So that is the reason why it didn't have any effect here. And so that is that as per that. So I've been able to touch everything I need to touch concerning this. Then one note I did not remember to put here is that you can add characters, you can add special characters to the placeholders, and they will still work fine. Let me put it this way. Special characters like comma, quote, single quotes, or any given character. Okay, also currency, like when I'm talking about currency, I'm talking about dollars, I'm talking about pounds. There's no pounds on my keyboard, so I'm talking about dollars, etc. Okay, all right, can be appended to the placeholders without causing any programming or any syntax error. So we have the comma, single quotes or double quotes, currency, anything, any character whatsoever can be appended to the placeholders without causing any syntax error, as you can see. So we put these inches there and it worked fine. And then we put comma here, everything works fine. Put comma with the S here, it worked fine, no problem. If you have done that with this one without some kind of special procedure, it will bring out an error. But here you can attach any symbol, anything you like to it, okay, and it will work very fine. The only thing Python does is to bring in the value in the variable and slot it there, and then whatever is it that you use to decorate around it is your own problem. It will work very fine. Okay, so that is how it goes. Any question before we leave this particular one? Because we have to cover the two
Yes,
others.
one question, please.
All right, Mary.
Oh, all right. Percentage S, F, and D are called placeholders, right? Because
Yes,
you keep
please.
making mention of that.
Yes, please.
To be sure. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All the three of them are placeholders. Percentage S, percentage F, and percentage D are all placeholders. So,
Okay, sir.
all right, you're welcome.
Are there more to them, or is just those three?
No, there's no more. I've covered everything needed.
All right. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. All right, so going forward, we've done a lot so far. Okay, so let us check the second method. Okay. The second method is the dot format method. This guy is too noisy, just too much. So the dot format method is just similar to this placeholder thing. In his own case, we are just that in his own case, we are not using percentage. Please take note that when you are using this percentage method, everything you want to write will be inside the quotes. Everything will be inside the quotes. Both the variables, both the placeholder and everything, all of them will be inside the quotes. All of them. Okay? So then after you close the quotes, you now put a space and write percentage, open a bracket and put all the variables inside in their order of appearance in the code. And then you close it back. And so that is how it worked. So you close, this bracket and this bracket works for this thing here. Then the other bracket here is the closing of the bracket that you started here. Okay, so please take note of that. Now let's use the dot format method. So in this case, we are going to achieve the same thing, all right? But this time around, we are not going to use percentage. We are using what we call dot format. When using this dot format method, all the variables that you used, you put it inside that bracket. And then another thing I want to bring to your notice is that all of this place, if I like, I think I need to put it as a note. If I like, instead of writing these variables, if I decide to put the direct values there, it will still work. Which means instead of writing name here, if I decide to put Shade, it will work. Instead of writing age here, if I decide to write 23, it will work. Instead of writing height here, if I decide to put whatever the height value is, it will still work. So just take note of that too. You understand? So maybe I should put it as a note that the code will still run fine. It will still run fine if I used, oh God, the direct values in the tuple instead of so, which means that instead of putting these variables here, I can put their direct values there and it will run very fine. So that's what it means. Okay, so now let's go. We use the dot format method. Making use of the dot format method involves let me just do the example so you can see. Comma. So in this case, we are not going to use these placeholders, but the kind of thing that looks like a placeholder that we are going to use will be braces. We make use of braces. instead. Okay, we make use of braces instead. In all of these places, instead of percentage 40, we put braces there. You understand? So instead of percentage 40, you put braces. Here too, you put braces here too. Okay? And like this. All the three places, you put braces. And then after the old print statements, the moment you finish typing the quotes, after the quotes, don't put space. Don't put space. After the quotes, just put dots, formats, and then put all of these things, leave all of these things like that the way they are. And it's going to work fine. Okay? So let's run the code. You see what I did? Instead of saying percentage %S, percentage %D, percentage %F, what I did was to put empty brackets there, empty braces. And then the things I want to put inside them, I just put it here. I arrange them like that as variables in that order, or probably as values. If you might put values there too, it will still work. So when you run it, okay. So when you run it, you have my name is Shade. I am 23 years old and 12.456 inches tall. You see that the comma is still on the body of the placeholder, just like that. This thing here too is still on the body too of the braces. Okay. So everything is still the same, just like the percentage operator. The only difference is that we are not using percentage operator. This time we are only using empty, we are only using braces. So you will still get the same results. Do you understand? So now, how do I now achieve the same result as what I achieved? And put the empty print here. So another empty print again, to show that I'm dealing with a new session. So if I run it now, I need enough space. So I have it this way. This is what I just got using the .format method. But if you now want to format it further, what you do is that you can put the stuff here. Let's say you can say one column S, that is S for string. Then you put 2 column D, that is for integer, and then you put 3 column F, that is for floats. It will still work the same thing. All right. So excuse me. So I'm just going to remove all of this. I don't want them there. That is for this example. Okay. This can be further formatted in the same manner as in the use of the percentage operator. Okay. As follows. So you have this, you have it this way. That is print. My name is, so you use the S for string, D for the other one, which is integer, and then F for float. No problem. It works fine. Then you put 1 year, 2 year, and then 3 year. With the 1, 2, and 3 year, okay, sorry, it is 0, 1, and 2. And then that reminds me, in programming, when we want to number anything in programming, okay, you know, in real life, if you want to count the people in the class, you say, okay, you 1, you 2, you 3. But in programming, you don't do that. In programming, you start from 0. Every numbering in programming, or every serial numbering in programming starts from 0. So what I'm just trying to tell Python here is that, please, the first variable, let it be a string. The second variable should be an integer. The third variable should be a float. So you use the 0 to represent the first, 1 to represent second and 2 to represent third. So that's what you're just trying to say. And then if you run it, you are still going to get the same result as earlier. But this time around, because you have indicated a float, it is going to present the answer in the format of a float. So just similarly as you did in the percentage method, you can format it, you can approximate it in a similar manner as the other by saying, come here, just okay, let me just put it like this. You put the print, then instead of this one, okay, let me say to approximate the float to 2 decimal place, you can write this one, you can edit it as this, just put 0.2 here, just exactly the same way you did with the percentage. It is going to work fine. You run it and then you have it this way. See that it's now in 2 decimal place. Okay, so in a similar manner to create a number of character spacing, you can also do the same as in the way you did for the percentage. Okay, so you have it like this. So this is already 0.2f. Okay, and then I can put more spaces. I can call this one 4D, okay, and it will work. I can put this one 7f and it will work. So if you run it, you are going to have it this way. See the character spacing there, and it works very fine. So all of those things that you could have done with the percentages, you can also do with this one too. Just that if this is the method that you are using, you are going to use braces and dot formats instead of using percentage, and instead of using percentage. Okay, so that's how it goes. Now, what is the benefit of this one? How is this one different from the other one? Well, you can do this one in such a way that you could actually change the position. You can put the values in the same place and then switch the position. Okay, it will run fine, but according to the position. So let me give you an example. For example, let me say, let's assume that x is equal to Python, and we have it that y is equal to JavaScript. X is equal to Python and y is equal to JavaScript. So you could as well have it this way by saying, can say print, okay, I love so you can separate them. You can do it this way. I love this more than this. Okay? So when you say you love, okay, when you say you love this more than this, if you like, you can put just number there. Okay? This time around, I'm not dealing with floats or whatever. So I would not need all these ones. I won't need them. Okay, because I'm not dealing with floats and I'm not dealing with this with integer. You understand? So I won't need this second part. I might just only focus on this first part for the positioning, for the purpose of positioning alone. So you can come to this place and say, I love this. Okay, and then you put one, you put zero here, and you put one here, just like the first position and second position. What you're just trying to tell Python is that put anything that is here, okay, put it here, and anything that is here, you put it here. So you remember that X is Python, Y is JavaScript, okay? So you can have it this way. By the time you run the program, you have the results saying, I love Python more than JavaScript. Oh, sorry, I put K there. I love Python more than JavaScript, okay? Because I put zero position for Python, one number, the first position for Python, second position for JavaScript. But if I switch it the other way around, I switch it this way, like I say I love JavaScript. So I'm trying to say I love JavaScript more than Python now. That's what I want to say. Okay. So this time around, you know that Y is the second person here. So Y is the second person in this bracket. So I'm bringing the second person first here now. And I'm bringing the X is the first person in this bracket. So I'm bringing the first person here. So it is the thing that is inside X that will appear second, that will appear in this place. Why what is inside Y, okay, is what will appear in this place, because I have switched them. All right. If you run the program now, you are going to get, I love JavaScript more than Python. Okay. Ideally, don't get it twisted. Okay. Don't get confused. X is the person that owns the value of the first position. Y is the person that owns the value of the second position by default, based on the arrangement in the brackets. X comes first, Y comes second. Now, so when you say I love 0, 0 comes first, and then 0 is first, 1 is second. Now, I now put second before first here. That is to say, I put second before first. And then according to the bracket, the second is Y and the first is X. The second is JavaScript, the first is Python. So because I put second first before first, by the time it represents it, it will say, it will bring the second first before the first. Python is first, which is here, which is now appearing on the other side, while Y being the second is appearing on the left hand side. Do you understand it now? So that is how it goes. You can the advantage of using this method is that it can help you to switch. It can help you to switch positions. Okay, you will still leave the variables arranged the way you leave them arranged, but you can just switch the positions anyhow you want it. Okay, and it is just going to go into the bracket, pick the variables according to the position, and fix them into those position numbers. And then that is how it works. So that's the benefit of this one over this. You cannot do the same thing with percentage S. It wouldn't work. Or within this percentage one. Okay, this percentage one follows strictly with this arrangement here. But this one, which is braces, okay, can be rearranged. But the rearrangement will still depend on the arrangement inside the brackets. And that is how it does its own work. Do you understand it now? And this example also shows you that you can use ordinary position. Like the first example that we did here, we use ordinary empty braces, no position, no formatting. But in this example, we use position and formatting. Now in this example here, we use position alone. And then in another example again, you can also use formatting alone. It will still work. For instance, if I pick up this one, let me say, okay, you put this one here, and you say my name is this, okay? And then you can remove all these ones. Let's see. And then you remove this one, and you remove this one. Okay, and run the program. Let's see what comes of it. Okay, now, this tells us that if we want to the stunts that we perform here, the stunts which we performed here, the stunt that we perform here is not applicable to this one. So which means anytime you have to put the formatting, you must do the formatting along with the positioning. So this example now shows us that the formatting is not possible without the positioning. All right. So, but the positioning is possible without the formatting. All right. Here now we use the position 0 and 1, no formatting, and it worked. But in this place, okay, we did not put the position, only the formatting, and it did not work. So, that is that. It says key error S. It is because this one is the one it came across first before coming here. If you correct what is here now, it will come and complain about this one. So let's say we put 0 and put this one, and then you run it. You see that it left this one. It came to complain about the second one. And that is how when you correct it again, it will point to the third one. Now what I want to do here is that I want to put column without anything. Okay, so run it. It says value error, cannot switch from manual field specification, too much English. Okay, so at the end of the day, we cannot use that method. We cannot use this. Okay, so then I have to take it off my code. And you wipe it out. Okay, so there we go. So you can also switch the positioning, right, to work fine according to the position of the values or of the variables or data in the brackets. So all right, so that is that for this method. So that is it. We have used 1 hour 30 minutes already. So that is it for the method. Then we go to the last method. After the last method, we call it a day. So tomorrow we'll continue with those other two stuff like tuples and list and tuples. Actually, this thing too is referred to as tuple. This thing in the bracket here, this parameter. Okay, you can just see it as tuple too because they behave likewise. But you're going to understand better what is meant by a tuple tomorrow. Let me run this program to see if there's any part of the code that is having issues. No parts. Everything is fine. And then we are still balling. Okay, good. So we'll come to this last one, which is the use of f string. The use of f string. So how do we do f string? F string involve like you putting the print statements like this, okay? But you now put letter F. You put letter F, okay? Open the quotes. You put letter F just immediately after the F, no space, no space. Open the quotes and put everything you want to put inside, and then close it back, okay? But then each of the variables will be kept inside braces. For instance, now, if I want to represent this thing here, let me go back. Okay. This, my name is Shade, I am whatever to. What you just do is the F string. Just come here, okay? Put everything inside, okay? Put everything inside, but remove this one. Remove this, remove the plus, remove everything, and just do what you want to do. Then this name, okay, you keep it inside braces, and then it will identify it as a variable, okay? Then continue writing the remaining parts to the normal way. Continue to write the remaining parts the normal way. This age is also a variable, so you put it inside a brace. You are inside two braces, and then years old, and so you just remove all of this all of this stress. Put this height, also put it inside quotes. Okay. All right, so we are done. Okay, my name is, you know what name is now? That is Shade. Name is Shadi. You can put a comma here. I am age years old. That is the age we enter here. And, you know, the height we enter here too. You can put the inches. You can put the inches there too. Okay. Okay. To do is you type it 2 times. Okay, and remove one of it so that I can work. All right, I want to, okay. Is there any problem here? Is putting, okay, let me run it first and see. So running the program, then we have an invalid syntax. I think there's something wrong somewhere here. Okay, good, I've seen it. It's saying this one as a variable, okay? So what you are going to do, you make it also to fall, because you are supposed to use a single open and closed quotes to carry everything. So now the problem is that I want to represent these inches using this F string. That's where the problem is. If I remove this, it is going to see this tall as a variable, and everything is going to as a string, and everything is going to work fine. Because if you run it now, you're going to get it. My name is Shade. I am 23 years old, and 12.456 gram. You cannot put the inches there. So let's see if there is a trick that we can use, you know, to put the inches there. There is a trick you can use to put the inches there. All right, so if you take note of this part, if you look at it after putting the strings on both sides, the quotes, Okay, just if you notice, you see that this tall is presented in white because Python sees it as a variable, and it looks as if you have closed the f print with this first one. That is, if you have this is the opening quote and this is the closing quote. That is the way it is. It is looking like to Python. So it believes that you have closed it from here, and then this one is just a standalone, standalone text. Okay, so and also that's the reason for this red line here. It's just trying to alert you that there is a problem with that area. So in order to solve that problem, what you do is that since we need this double quotes to be there, because actually if you run the program, it's not going to give you what you want. You see that? So it's going to bring out error, syntax error and all. You don't even expect it to run since this one is appearing as a variable that's in color white. So what you do, the solution to this kind of problem is to change the quotes. So just put this one here as a single quote. Put this one here as a single quote. Since both single quote and double quote work for strings, so Python recognizes the two of them, okay, as string pointers or whatever you can call it. So the moment Python sees the single quote or the double quote, it knows that whatever is in between them is a string. You understand? So, but now that we need to make use of this one as a character, not as an indicator now, not as a string indicator, but as a character. So we need the double quote as a character here. So what will happen is that we make sure that the string indicator that we use, that is the overall string indicator we use for the overall stuff, is going to be a single quote. If assuming it is a single quote that you need inside, okay, like you need a single quote inside and the double quotes outside, you can put the single quote here, type it twice to excuse you, then you remove one, okay, because if you put it one, automatically Python, this IDE will give you two, thinking you want to write something in between. But since it is only one of it you need, do it again. It will now shift to the second part. It will not repeat it again, but it will shift to the second one, and then you can remove it. You can remove just one of it. So that's how to type it. And then you will now change this one to double quotes. Okay. Then this one also to double quotes. And everything works fine. So by the time you run it, you will see that the one for the single quotes, okay, is there. As double quote is there. And then when you guide it with single quote outside, and then if you use the double quote outside, then you use the single quote inside, so that Python will not be confused, and then everything is settled that way. So that is just how it goes. Okay. The F string, let me just put it here. Best applied when you do not have to format any data value specially. Like maybe you don't have to when you don't really have to approximate, you don't have to do all those things. You don't have to approximate, you don't have to run, do all of that. When you don't have to do all of that, or maybe creating extra spacing, character spacing and all that. When you don't have to do them, when all those things are not needed in the particular thing you want to present, then the very best one to use is the F string method. It will just produce everything for you direct without stress. You are not having to put anything in the special brackets separately, like all those tuples. You don't have to put all of those things separately. You just put the variables you need, direct them, just insert them exactly where you want them to be, but surround them with braces, and then cover everything with quotes, and you are fine and you are good to go. So that is just how it works. Okay, put everything, start it with a quote, end it with a quote, put all the variables you want to use, put everything inside, and then put F at the beginning. That's all. F followed by quotes, and then put everything you want to format inside. Then let the variables be surrounded with braces. That is all. You run it and it works fine, no problem. So the F string is best used when you do not have to format any data value specially. And so that is the end of the class. What as for the F string, you can put comma, you can put full stop, you can put all those things, attach it to the braces, it will work fine. So that is it for this evening. I hope you have learned a lot. If there is any question, please, I want you to ask. Any question? Okay, in the absence of no questions, then we can call it a day. All right, thanks for coming this evening. Oh, my question will come after the class, trying to, please, sir, what's the difference between F string and string? F string is just a method, like when we say dot format method, when we say percentage method, this method is called the F string method. F string, the name F string came from the fact that you put letter F before the string that you want to format. That's all. The name F string comes from the fact that you put letter F before the string you want to format. That is just all, nothing more. Yeah. Any other person again? Okay, good. So in the absence of no question, we'll call it a day. And thanks for coming. See you tomorrow by God's grace. I will send an assignment later. Very tired. Bye.
Thank you very much, sir. Good night.
Yeah, good night. Yeah.